Welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. Today we are honored to have an incredibly inspiring guest. Through her powerful story of overcoming adversity, including trauma, loss, and the challenges of raising a child with multiple disabilities, Christine has become a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges. She shares her insights of resilience, self-compassion, and the transformative journey of healing from the inside out. And so, this interview is going to really be a deep dive into the heart of a woman who turned her pain into purpose and offers hope and actionable steps for others to do the same. So, whether you are currently navigating your own healing journey or simply looking for a spark of inspiration, Christine's story will touch your heart. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the Writers' Corner live show.
Imagine a world where the lines of reality blur with the fantastical. Embark on journeys from humble beginnings to the pinnacles of literary greatness. On the Writers' Corner, we delve into the lives of unique wordsmiths, known for their compelling storytelling. They are artisans who craft fantastical realms, etched in our memory long after the final page is turned. Every tale begins with a single word, a single idea. Authors create sensations that keep you on the edge of your seat. Witness how they transform setbacks into stepping stones, use refusals to spark growth and turn rejections into catalysts for new inspiration. Witness the diversity in writing as it gives birth to a vast array of genres, from drama to mystery to children's stories, fantasy, and reality. Join us as we uncover sources of inspiration and the magic that defines the author's craft. Find out how authors breathe life into their characters and meticulously craft narratives and plots that captivate readers. Get a sneak peek into upcoming works and join us as we celebrate literary greatness only on the Writers' Corner. We don't just celebrate best-selling Amazon and New York Times authors, but also indie authors. Join us on the journey from the birth of a tale to the creation of a masterpiece, only on the Writers' Corner live show. Stay tuned.
If you have just joined us, then welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. If you're not yet following us on our social media channels, please go ahead and do so, and that way you'll get notified next time we go live. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Bridgetti Lim Banda from Cape Town in South Africa. And in today's show, we're going to be talking to Christine Williamson. Our live stream is brought to you courtesy by Creative Edge, StreamYard, and Be Live Media. So a special warm welcome to our audience wherever you are watching us. Now, normally I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson, but she's unable to join us today, and she'll be back next week. So Mary, if you are watching, get well soon. If you have not yet met our amazing guest today, Christine is a certified emotional intelligence coach and founder of Beacon of Hope Heart-Centered Coaching. Through her personal experience of overcoming adversity, she empowers women to find their inner strength, resilience, and fulfillment. Sharing her journey in The Ripple Effects of Impact, which is the book that is going to be published soon, Christine offers hope, self-compassion, and actionable steps for transformative healing. Her mission is to guide women through life storms, providing a beacon of hope and inspiration. And so with that, I want to give a very warm welcome to my guest, Christine. Christine, welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. And I am so sorry that you're not getting to meet my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson, but welcome to the show, and so glad that you can join us to talk about your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And hopefully next time I will be able to meet your co-host.
I'm sure you will. I'm going to jump right in. Can you share with us a pivotal moment in your life that influenced your journey towards resilience and self-love?
Yeah, there's been a few, and the most recent was back in 2016-17 when, um, after years of battling for answers for our youngest, who was having significant challenges in many different ways, once we got all of, or many of the answers, I had a significant burnout where it landed me in the hospital. And the doctor said if I didn't change something, I wouldn't be around to see my children grow up. And my body, my mind, my everything, spirit was just burnt out. Like I had burnt myself right out. And so that was the pivotal moment when I needed to learn to do something different.
I think what you said is so relatable to people who are caregivers of any kind. Burnout is a real danger. And I think you become so engrossed in what you're doing that you often forget to take care of yourself. So I think that is quite huge. What sparked your passion for, and I'm guessing that it's tied into what you just told us, but what sparked your passion for emotional intelligence coaching, and how does it influence your work in empowering overwhelmed moms like you out there?
Well, what sparked it first was COVID. And because of our daughter, all of her services were canceled. She started to regress. And so I really needed to look for something uh, for her. And also because I wanted to continue on my own journey. And so it came to me about the emotional intelligence. And that actually gave us something that actually sparked so much change in our daughter that her therapy team saw more change when things opened up in her than they had in the 5-6 years prior to that. And so that from there inspired me to look more in how can I help other moms that give everything to their families and they still are left with this emptiness inside of them as well. And so that sparked me into getting my women-centered coaching certification and now studying for facilitation in a way that it was great that I could help my daughter. And on top of that, there are so many moms out there who are really, really struggling. And to be able to find a place to be able to reconnect to themselves without sacrificing their families. That it's a bridge that you don't have to choose either or. You can look after yourself and your family. And so that's the catalyst for me for the work I'm doing now.
I think that's pretty huge because I don't think you realize that one is tied into the other, and to be successful at either one, there has to be a codependency on the two and a balance between the two, and recognizing that is key to becoming successful. Now, your chapter in the book is called Shipwrecked to Lighthouse Beacon.
Yeah.
Is quite a powerful metaphor. What inspired this imagery, and how does it reflect your personal experience?
That is a fantastic question. In the moment when I felt myself breaking was when we were in the psychologist's office when they were going over everything they had found with our daughter. And the only way that I could describe it was that I was hit by this massive earthquake that was followed by the tsunami that was just swallowing me. And I was struggling to get to back to the surface. And it was like I could hear her talking, but I couldn't. And at one point, I remember her saying, I'm more concerned about her, and thinking, who is she talking about? And as I'm struggling, realizing she was talking to my husband about me. And it was in that moment that I thought, I'm drowning here. I don't know what to do next. Like, I just have to survive this tsunami first. And that's what started this idea of being completely shipwrecked to becoming this lighthouse beacon. And at the end, realizing that we all are our own lighthouse beacon, and sometimes we just need someone else to remind us of that. And I want to be a part of that revolution for helping other women, particularly, but humanity in general, that we all have a light. We all are our own beacon, and we sometimes just need someone to remind us of that.
I really like that, because we know what we know, but sometimes we forget, and we just need somebody to say to you, you've got this.
Yeah. Yes.
It just reassures you, that I can do this. We've all got it within us, but we just need somebody to be in our corner, someone who has your back. And it's wonderful that your husband was that person for you. How would you define empowerment in the context of your coaching business? And what strategies do you use to help your clients balance their own well-being on the one hand and their family responsibilities on the other hand?
That is another fantastic question. And empowerment to me it's not just about meeting your own needs. It's how can my needs be part of the collective? And how can what I am bringing into this be something that then can better those around me? And so you're not just looking after your own needs to make sure your needs are met. Like, that's only part of the step. The other part is understanding that by getting our needs met, by making sure that that is done, that then the responsibility of bringing that out becomes a joy. It becomes something that you want to show other people, that together we can be better. And so empowerment is about doing for yourself what you then want to help other people to do for themselves. And so how I help moms with that is understanding that by looking after our own needs, our own wants, our own desires, our own things within us, that actually then connects us to helping our children learn how to do that for themselves. And sometimes we think as moms that we have to do all of these things for our children, but really what we need is to be in connection with them, to help them understand their own needs, their own wants, their own desires, and to be able to start to understand how to meet those within themselves.
Wow, that is amazing. How do you challenge or encourage moms to prioritize their well-being without feeling guilty about it? And what are some surprising discoveries that you've made about yourself coaching other moms?
One of the biggest things for me is this idea of this mom guilt that we carry. So much of that has been programmed into us. And if you look at almost every Mother's Day card, it's about, it's such a great mom who does everything for her family, who, their kids are their world, or their family is everything to them. And it's this idea that the more selfless you are, the better of a mom you are. And so anytime you want to do something for yourself, you actually think that you're doing something wrong, that you're taking something away from your family. And so when I realized that for the most part, the mom guilt that we suffer from is actually this idea that we've done something wrong, when really it's even on the airplane that you put your own oxygen mask on first. And that idea is you aren't taking something away from someone else. You're positioning yourself to be able to give to someone from a place that is whole within you. And so guilt is actually when you've done something wrong or you've intended to hurt someone else. And so this idea of challenging that narrative, that by showing our children that it is also important to journal, to do something creative, to exercise, to whatever it is, it's teaching our children how to also look after themselves as well.
I think that's such a valid point, because children learn by example. And, if they see that you taking care or prioritizing yourself, it teaches them that they should do the same. So I think that's a very, very valid point. Can you talk a bit about the significance of holding opposing ideas or viewpoints with curiosity, but without judgment
Yeah.
in your coaching practice, and how that helps create a safe space for your clients?
That is actually something that means more to me than so many other things. And the reason why is in a world that is so polarized that, if we have a view on something, that then someone else must be wrong in order for ours to be right, or vice versa. And so this idea of being able to hold polarizing or different views or different opinions at the same time without judgment is all about seeing, what can I learn from you? What is it about your side that is important to you? And is there anything that I can take from that? And then that creates a space for the other person to do the same. And so often we need things to challenge our way of thinking, our way of believing, our way of doing things, because so often we do those things without even knowing why we're doing it. And so in my coaching practice, so often when moms come to me, they've had a certain way of doing something and they have to do it that way. And by being curious about, what is it that you have to do it by that way? What does it mean if you don't do it that way? What are you telling yourself if you are doing it that way? Then it just starts to bring different pathways of possibility, that it doesn't necessarily make anything right or wrong. It's different. And does different have to be good or bad? No, it's just different. And if something isn't working, why don't we see if something different can work? And if something is working, what is something that you could do to even make it more amazing? And so that's the idea for me, is really being able to hold space for polarizing ideas and views so that people can be heard, that connections can be formed, that relationships can build, instead of us just being on either side all the time.
That is amazing. And I think, that's what we crave. And I think that's probably one of the reasons a lot of women don't seek help, is because they don't have a safe space where they can simply express themselves without fear or reprisal or something, without that judgment. So I think what you said now is pretty valuable in terms of creating that environment for your clients. But how do you balance empathy? Just sort of building on what you said now, how do you balance empathy and professional boundaries when you're working with clients who are going through very intense emotional experiences? And what role, if any, does humor play in your coaching sessions, particularly in these circumstances?
Yeah, I remember quite a while learning that empathy without boundaries creates a doormat situation. And so it's really important with with empathy that when you are feeling alongside someone, to understand that that actually isn't your responsibility. It isn't my responsibility to take care of my clients' needs. It's more to hold the space for them within our sessions. And so there is email that they can get a hold of me if they're wanting to talk in between sessions. And the empathy and the boundaries for me really is not only to protect my own energy, but I'm also a mom and I'm a wife and I have that life as well. And so I'm not just telling other people how to find balance and harmony and hope and resilience in their life. I am also continuing to build that in my own. And so for me, I am really learning the skill of holding space for someone with empathy and compassion and curiosity. And I'm also not a doormat. And so being able to create those containers that aren't, a revolving door 24/7. And yet when I am with them, I'm 100% with them.
Wow, that is quite a fine balance. And I think, learning not to be a doormat, I think that's where we all fall into a trap often when we listen to
Yes.
our friends. And, we're sinking ourselves in the process.
Yeah.
So, it's something definitely to be aware of. What advice would you give to someone that is currently watching the show that is feeling shipwrecked in their own life and struggling to find their lighthouse beacon? And how do you envision your work contributing to a broader cultural shift towards empathy, compassion, and deep understanding? Because that's what we're all looking for, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Taking a moment to, I know that feeling of that shipwrecked feeling and the absolute overwhelm and panic and desperation. And so my first thing is find something to hold on to and breathe.
Almost like a child having a safety blanket or something to ground you, right?
That's right. That is right. Because I cannot overemphasize the power of that breath. And even if it feels like a gasp, do that, because the breath is so important. And you're not alone. So like to reach out. And if there's someone in your life, my website is available as well to reach out, but to really know that you aren't alone, and that there is hope. And I think that the whole idea of Beacon of Hope is that there is always hope, and being reminded of that. And I remember when someone said there's always hope, and I was like, no, there is not always hope. And to realize that I had to shift what my belief of hope was. And the hope is that breath. And to know that for things to get better, it's not about perfection. It's about one step at a time. And so there is always hope. And that lighthouse beacon, there's actually that beacon inside of you. And while there's this idea of a lighthouse on the land, that is also true, but the beacon is within you. And so there is hope. There is always hope.
Wow. A lot of what you said resonates with me. I live with chronic pain myself. And I often say to people that there are times when life is one breath at a time. and that's okay. And, when I'm going through a particularly difficult time, to your point of there's always hope, my mantra is in those moments to say to myself, I am thankful that I can still breathe. I'm not on a ventilator. I can still breathe. The importance of that breath. Because I think sometimes we forget to breathe, and it's such a simple thing, that we take it for granted and sometimes we miss it. But if somebody just says to you, breathe, it's as if, when we're in those moments of complete despair, we forget to take that breath.
Yeah.
We forget to put on our oxygen masks and just breathe. So it's such a simple thing, but so profound.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that you mentioned that importance of taking a breath and remembering to breathe.
Yeah. So my youngest, she has many challenges and disabilities, and when she has a chronic genetic disorder that causes significant pain all the time. And that is something that I often, when she's in a flare-up, to lie with her and allow those tears and that breath. Because sometimes that is all that we have, is that breath. And to know that we aren't alone. And I think that the idea that there is clarity and chaos at the same time, and to remember that the breath can bring a bit of clarity, and that clarity can help us through that chaos and the pain and the overwhelm. And so that really that's what it is for me and the mantra in our home as well.
Wow. Christine, I cannot wait to read your chapter in the book, the ripple effects of impact. So, I want to encourage you, if you're watching this interview, whether you're watching it now on the replay, keep your eyes peeled for this book, and in particular for Christine's chapter, the ripple effects of impact. And you definitely don't want to miss her chapter in this book. Christine, I want to say a huge big thank you, and I'm so sorry that Mary missed the episode today. She'll be back with us next week. But thank you so much for coming to share a little bit about yourself and your journey, and opening up yourself to be there for other moms who are struggling. To be able to hold space for them and to help them on their journey, but also applying the lessons that you've learned yourself, not to become a doormat, as you said, and to also apply self-care in the process of taking care of your own family and other moms that are struggling out there. So a huge big thank you. I would really, really, really love it if you came back on the show once your book is out.
I would love that. Yes.
It's going to be amazing. So
Thank
again,
you.
also,
Thank you.
it's a big pleasure. Guys, if you're watching the show, we often have accomplished authors on the show. So, if you are like Christine and you're writing a chapter in a collaborative book and the book isn't even published yet, use opportunities to talk about your chapter and your book like these. So, Christine, again, a huge big thank you. Thank you to our audience. This was amazing. And I'd really like to have you back again. So, to everyone out there, thanks for staying with us throughout the interview. And we will see you back next week on another episode of the Writer's Corner live show. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Writer's Corner live show. 30 minutes of insightful author conversations with some of the biggest names in the industry, including award-winning authors and international indie sensations. Join us on the next episode of the Writer's Corner live show.